Slava Ukraine. Okay, I'm sending some stuff off to the Ukraine, and it's a bit of a tangent I'm on here. However, because I already commented on Instagram as I went to support my cameraman Alex during the Ukrainian solidarity event at Nathan Phillips Square, I commented how disappointed I was we weren't sending natural gas. Then, of course, I went off again on another video, which you're going to see soon about it in more in depth. Actually, it's up right now. But then, you know, I realized I saw a video where this Ukrainian soldier is surrendering and he's being like machine gunned, and it was so disturbing. To be honest, Alex pointed that out to me. It was on social media, and why anybody in any war in any army would post that. It'd be a disgrace to your family, regardless of your side. It's so disturbing, together with the fact that I know someone that's aware of our armored capacity and how these Leopard tanks are barely, you know, I don't even know the quality of their serviceability and our ability to airlift them there in time. Because the one thing I know as an armchair warrior, you may get an idea that I have this kind of fascination with this stuff. It would kind of blame my family for their participation in the war and being adopted by people from that era. But we're not probably going to even be able to get those tanks there before the Russians launch their offensive, because as far as I realize, historically, everybody invaded in that area because of the flat lands when the ground's solid. So as soon as that ground is dry enough, they're going to attack. And my cameraman goes and tells me they just bombed Ukraine for 24 hours. The Russians are known for a giant barrage, in this case rockets, but they used to use artillery. And they would just pound the living daylights or whatever they're going to attack in the hopes that they could soften them up. So the Russians are softening up the Ukraine as we speak, and enough's enough for me, because I just don't think the world's doing enough fast enough. I even know some people in service overseas in Europe, and they told me we should have been sending this stuff last year. So I've had enough. My dad, at one time before he passed, had bought out a hunting goods store, and he had a lot of miscellaneous junk. No firearms or nothing, but belts, gun cleaning stuff, oil. And I sent some stuff already because I had a scope that I don't use, and I'm not hunting anymore because I used to, and I'm sending it. I sent one before, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to send 3 parcels. And mainly the stuff that my dad had laying around was basically cleaning. So the one thing I think I'm going to give is all my miscellaneous gunslings and pads and hot seats. These are things you'd sit on in the bush so your behind wouldn't be wet and cold. Things that are useful to people, because I'm certain they're getting enough weapons and ammunition. But you know, if your equipment's not clean, you're not comfortable, you know, it reduces your effectiveness. So I'm going to send 3 boxes of stuff, and I have enough cleaning material here for probably 1,000 kits. And they're very small. Oh, geez, I don't know if I, you know, but if you have a 7.62 caliber, which is, I'm sure the Ukrainians using the Russian rifle, ironically, even though the Russians invented the Kalashnikov, that will help clean it. Why am I doing that? I don't feel I'm contributing to war. If Russia stops fighting, the war ends. But the problem is, if the Ukraine stops fighting, we know the Ukraine will end. And if you know bullies, the current establishment in Russia, not all the people, because I know some Russians here and they're not happy about this either, they won't stop. So the irony is we have to support the Ukraine whether we like it or not if you're going to try and get peace. So this is the conclusion I've come to, and since the cameraman's become a good friend of mine, I'm so highly disturbed I don't even know what to say, the things that I've come to know. I don't think the media gets it right. We should be sending everything we got. And like I said, why we're not sending liquid natural gas even temporarily for 6 months or a year when Europe will find a solution to burn coal anyway, it's ludicrous. Alex, turn the camera on yourself. What happened when the commander seen the scope and the stuff? What did he say?
When first package arrived, there was a big surprise for everybody, and it was decided between the soldiers who gonna have it. So
were they competing a little bit?
Yeah,
they kind of laughing and
they were competing, and they were.
So it shows you how badly they need things.
And they desperately need this stuff.
So I'm sending us through independent Ukrainian channel, and what I would say to all the people that used to hunt and their families, they likely have gunslings, things that are not, you know, they're not weapons. Gun cleaning stuff, camouflage jackets, camouflage hip waders they don't use. Find somebody, find your own pathway through Ukrainian Canadians who've been, moved to this country and have many generations. I'm sure there's a way for you to look inside of your community, or extend a handout on social media and offer this stuff to them and see if they can't send it to the Ukraine. This kit alone may clean, you know, I don't know the size of their platoons or brigades. This could, you know, anyway, this could probably help 40 men keep their weapons clean for the better part of a month. That would make sure they're effective enough. And all they are is defensively holding ground, which is their country. And they have the right to that. So the least we can do, because Canadians I know who, well, all those that had the long guns in their family, they're good, upstanding people, for as far as I'm concerned. But the accessories and stuff like this could be very useful to the Ukrainian people. They talk about weapons, but what about cleaning them? They talk about supplies and food. That's great, but what about gunslings and sleeping bags that are camouflage or coats? What about rainproof gear? Guys that used to duck hunt. That kind of stuff. See if somebody wants to send it over. If I can do it, you can do it. I've been kind of unhappy we don't send liquid natural gas because the Russians probably are making billions of dollars to help fund their war machine that we could have as well and it would be in Canada. Somehow it would help, you know, if the 1% took a big chunk of it. I don't care. We'd get some of it. It would be money out of, instead of nothing. Instead, they've got more money because we won't send natural gas. We only have to do this maybe a year or two. I'm packing this up and it's leaving today. So I suggest you look in your closets, your garages, go to your relatives, your grandparents, your parents. If they don't want this stuff, send it off. If you're not going to hunt anymore, there must be millions of Canadians that could send a small box of stuff off. That means you could probably supply the entire Ukrainian army with stuff that nobody's thinking about that would make their lives comfortable, keep them dry, and make them effective. No gun would jam. They wouldn't get hypothermia and get sick. Without that attrition, their military would be far more efficient. Then let the big boys send tanks and aircraft carriers, and hopefully they'll get there in time. Come on, get with it. I'm packing, you start packing too. So as individuals, we're gonna have to stand up, sweat, toil, and tears, count on your neighbor, be good to everyone who's either moved here or grown up here, put your arms together, band together, and do the right thing. So right now, the right thing would be for all of us in Canada to help the Ukrainian cause, to push back so that Russia doesn't take over the Ukraine. I doubt they'd stop there, their current leadership. If we could keep this thing stalemated and keep Ukrainians alive, for that matter, I don't want Russians to die either. They're just average people that are forced into things. Did you know the number? I have a friend, and you know what he said the #1 search in Russia was when they said they're going to conscript people? How to break your arm or leg without killing yourself. Then a couple 100,000 jumped in their cars and went to Kazakhstan because you don't need a visa. Look, you got to understand. John Lennon had a really good phrase that I like to quote it because I'm a musician. What if there was a war and we all decided not to go? Think about it. Slava Ukraine.